Hi everyone, so I wanted to make a quick video about Synthplant again because I had received some good responses from my previous ones, and I really wanted to emphasize that Synthplant is a sampler in a sense that you can recreate sounds that you have generated from samples, if that makes sense, right? So you can load in a sample and you can recreate it in Synplant, but you can also do much more than that. Like for example, you could make sounds organic, and you can actually make sounds that they sort of drift and have a little bit of life to them. Okay, there we go, right? So the drums are all made like that. I've got a delay here, just gonna turn it off. But if you were to focus, for example, on the hi-hat, you can hear that hi-hat it is obviously created by Synthplant, but is constantly kind of shifting, right? Like the quality of the sound kind of like keeps shifting. And of course you can do that with other sounds, like for example, this kind of texture. But it's constantly evolving. And you can see that, you know, you can get Synthplant to, you can kind of automate the wheel here and the tonality as well to get some interesting kind of variations on the sound, right? So let me just let me show you something else. So that would be another sound, and this would be, for example, another example right here. A bit distorted because I've got a glue compressor on the master anyway. You can hear that this is kind of shifting. It's got sort of like a acoustic sort of quality to it, right? So this is another thing that can be really interesting about synthesizers such as Synthplant. So here's the full song. So just to give you a quick example, right? It is a little bit different from the usual stuff. As you know, I make also, besides drum and bass, I make bass music, and I make just whatever I feel like, you know. I've done techno, I've done house, I've done garage, I've done exploratory stuff like this, you know. And lo-fi hip hop, as some of you might know from my previous releases, such as the Bird Kingdom, for example. That was kind of like lo-fi, right? So yeah, so this is just to give you a little bit of an idea. But let me just demonstrate something. So I'm just going to delete this, and let's go into Synthplant. I'm just going to get an instance, and let's just make a beat together. I'm going to keep it kind of like this kind of feel, I think. I'm just going to go into this sort of like breakbeaty lo-fi abstract stuff. So I'm going to go over here, and the first thing is, like, one thing that we need to realize about Synthplant that's insanely powerful is the fact that we can, of course, recreate sounds, right? So I'm just going to find it. There we go. Cool. Synthplant. There we go. So you can just drag and drop a sample there. So this is one of the really powerful things. And what I tend to do in Ableton, sometimes I just go to samples and I just go to one shot, and I go to maybe kicks. So we can create a kick. Like that one, for example, that's got quite a nice sort of punch, isn't it? Let's just work with that. And this is one thing that's really interesting, is the fact that you can just drag and drop it. That's the kick, and then you can get Synthplant to find one. So you can see it working away, right? You can pre-hear the results. But it's actually, you know, it's fairly, with some sounds, it's very accurate. Like, that's actually almost spot on. So let's just roll with that, right? So you can see as I select it, now it's available. And we can just create the pattern. So let's just go with that, and I'm just gonna do it a little bit lower, right? So maybe like, let's go to C1. Well, actually C2, that's too low, isn't it? All right, there we go. So let's press play. All right, cool. We can get the tuning right as well. We can correct the tuning. There you go. And we can even kind of like morph it. Right, so this is going to be like a random morph. So you see I'm playing the kick on C, but I can hold down Command and then I can just click here and get random sound. Like for example, I can keep going. And find something that's slightly more kick-like, right? There you go. And then I can go to the original one, and then I can kind of blend it, right? Which is cool. There you go, right? Then, of course, in the DNA, I can even make this. I mean, for the kick, I wouldn't go too crazy, but you can add a little bit more clipping, which can sound quite nice, right? And so on and so forth. We can add reverb if we want it. The reverb in Synthplant 2 is amazing, but obviously that's just a kick. But you saw me that just by playing around with the original sample and dragging it and dropping it into Synthplant, then I can actually create permutations. And of course, remember that I can just try randomizing it again. Maybe I prefer that. That's got a little bit more oomph, and you can kind of blend it, right? That's gone crazy. Yeah, I like that, right? So it's really an interesting tool. It is very, very unique. There's nothing else out there in the market that does what Synthplant can do. Let's just get Snare going, and that's going to be really, really easy because obviously we can go to one shots in Ableton, find the snare, and just using Ableton, but obviously you can use this as well in Logic. The snares are a little bit harder, but I'm going to go kind of retro. I'm going to go to that sort of snare sound. I'm feeling lazy, so I'm just literally going to duplicate the channel. It's easier sometimes like that. And I'm just going to take that Synplant, open it up, and just take the snare and just drag and drop. That's the snare we got. Let's see how far we can get. With snares, it's a lot harder, okay? Not bad. I quite like that. And it's nice and wide as well, you can hear it, right? So I'm going to roll with that. But the thing is, in a sample, you cannot do what I'm about to do, right? Like, if we roll with that sound, okay, so I'm happy with that. We're just going to get the pattern going like on the 2 and the 4. There you go. Maybe a little bit higher. There you go, C3. I think my kick actually used to be on C3. I don't know what's going on. No, I'm going to leave it there. I think that's okay. Let's play that. That's kind of like my drum bass of offbeat snares. Let's just move that to the right. Look, first things that we can do is we can go into the DNA and we can edit the actual, we can edit quite a few things. We can, for example, add a little bit of randomness to the modulation. So that can be like sample and hold, and you can see as we do that, then every time we hear the snare is ever so slightly different, which is really cool. We can also go to the, so that's the envelope section, right? As you can see here, we can also go into the waveform itself, right? And we can add, like, for example, sample and hold as well to the modulator. There you go, look. So every time we hear it, can be slightly different. Can you hear that? Really cool. So that's really nice. But of course, this is Synthplant that we're talking about, and the beautiful thing about this is, of course, we can do layering. So if I'm having something like a snare, a sound that I like, if I go into the layer mode, which is this one here, cool, is the bulb. This is the bulb, right? We can add more layers. So basically, that's like multiple voices of the same sound, right? Or the same snare that we just recreated. But because we add in the voices, we can add a tonality. For example, look, if we go here and we open up, every single one of these layers that we added are going to be ever so slightly different. Listen to it. I'm just going to solo it so you can hear it. That's too crazy, right? But a little bit is maybe there. So it just gives you like a snare that's got a little bit of extra character. It's kind of like shifting. It's not exactly the same, right? And that's really, really cool. And obviously it's layering, so you can really thicken up the sound. Especially remember that if you use the mode here, the layered mode, you can go back onto the DNA editor thingy. And then you can go here and you can say, okay, well, I want each one of the voices to be panned according to the placement on the bulb here. So that basically those voices will go to the right, this will go to the left, etc. Right? So that's kind of like a right and left panning, so to speak, and that can really open up the snare. If you listen to it now, you'll hear as I start increasing the pan here, it's going to send each voice and it's going to open it up even more. There you go, right? So that's really cool. And of course, we can go and adjust the sample. I mean, not the sample, it's not a sample, is it? It's recreated. So we can go here and we can be like, okay, let's tighten up the decay maybe. There you go. So nice. And it's always changing. Can you hear it? It's never quite the same. That can't be done. It's really hard to do this with other synthesizers. This is one of the secrets about Synplant, right? That kick, same thing, right? I can click on the kick. That might be full. I want to layer it, but I can go over to the kick and be like, oh, I want to tighten it up. Let's just bring the decay. There you go. Nice. We can go here and edit the waveform. If I want more noise on the kick, I could add noise, right? The oscillator section. Maybe too much. There you go. Maybe here. It's too crazy, right? Right, so you can really variate the samples quite a lot, and of course remember that we got distortion, saturation and clipping, which sounds absolutely amazing. I think it sounds really, really good. And the reverb, you can add like this kind of like almost sounds like a physical modeling kind of reverb, right? So hi-hats, again, hi-hats can be really, really cool too. So like if we go, just gonna go here, just gonna grab one that I like. And the reason why I like doing this is because Synthplant can become like a drum machine if you want it, but with much more nuance, because it's able to recreate a sample to a degree that's like unheard of. Again, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it wrong, you know, but that's just the fun of it, right? For example, these are going to be more acoustic. Synthplant doesn't read FLAC files, so my suggestion, if you've got a sample that's FLAC and you wanna use it, then just put it on an audio channel and then literally just bounce track in place and off you go, right? And then you can then put that inside Synthplant, right? So let's just open it up and let's just drag that open symbol, see what it does. There's two in there, obviously, because I froze it, but that's okay. We're just gonna be like selecting just this section. You can adjust the length of the sample. All right, that's what we're working with. So let's just make it maybe shorter, more like this. Cool. Turn it down a little bit. Oh, that's cool. And then you get some really weird abstract hybrid strength stuff that you could just use for abstract, really abstract sort of beats, right? So this is one of the things that's insanely powerful, right? I'm gonna roll with that. Obviously it's too long, right? So, but I'm just gonna do, I'm rolling with that. I'm just gonna do the pattern here. So I'm gonna do it like, I'm just gonna do a very simple pattern like that, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, but then I can edit it. I can go inside here and be like, okay, that's too long. Let's shorten the decay, please. We can turn off the loop, and you can see like Synthplant is trying to loop. So I can go into the loop. That sounds more like a clap. Or just completely kill it. It's no sustain. and I can adjust the decay further. There you go. And it's every time you hear it, it's ever so slightly different. Can you hear that? It's not the same. This is the thing, it's organic. Like, it's got like a, do you see this? Look at the waveform. Going crazy there and changing. The reverb sounds amazing. Look, without the reverb, right? It's like dead. And of course we can layer it, right? You know, I can go here and be like, oh, I want it to be like a crazy kind of open hat. Make it more abstract, so let's open it up. There you go. So cool. Like, there's nothing quite out there. I mean, I can open the let's go into the genome editor, and here remember that we can open up the panning, right? Nice. And I can potentially play around with like randomizing all of these things, just so I get like different micro variations by holding command. I mean, it's noise, so it's not really gonna go too crazy, but you're gonna really notice if you open up the wheel further, then it's gonna go really abstract. I mean, I don't know if I could use that, but it's crazy. It's like having the power of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 synths in one synthesizer. It's, yeah, it baffles me, right? It's right. There you go. So we got that sound. That already sounds quite. Turn it down. Wicked. All right. So we got a simple kind of open and close hat, and potentially, I mean, you know, if you want to do more abstract stuff, the other thing I tend to do is I keep this like that, and you see that we got this wheel here. So I might just open it until it starts going a little bit crazy. Maybe there. So that sounds like slightly different kind of hi-hat. And then if I wanted to really do some really cool stuff, like making the hi-hat completely different every time or close to different every time, I can go to the modulators in Ableton, and I can potentially use the expression control here and then say, okay, I'm going to select random. And then I am going to apply the random to the mod wheel. So basically every note is going to be triggering the wheel randomly, so then the sound is going to change randomly, and I'm going to use this 100%. There you go, look. And if I want to go really, really crazy, I can open this up even further, so then sometimes it will just go into no hi-hat, into like weird glitchy abstract sounds. Let's do it faster, right? So let's just do like a, I don't know, faster kind of hi-hat pattern, so you can really hear the movement. Maybe too much. There you go, right? Again, remember that we can tighten it, right? We can go here, be like, okay, clean up, please. Maybe less reverb. Let's tighten it up a little bit. There you go, constantly changing. And if I go into adding like 16 notes, it's gonna be really, really, really obvious. Obviously, this hi-hat was meant to be a open hat, but obviously we are manipulating it. We can go into random, maybe like velocity deviation. We can trigger the velocity aspect here. So you got volume changes as well. Maybe less. We can go maybe higher in pitch, right? Because it's not a sample anymore, is it? It's a bit abstract. That's kind of that's kind of cool. Does that make sense? So these are some of the really, really cool abstract stuff that you can do with something like Synthplant, but there's more that I wanted to quickly share with you. It's not quick, is that because my tutorials, they never are quick, because there's so much I want to showcase and share. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the video so far anyway, and thanks for staying all the way up to here if you're still here. Right, so something else I wanted to just quickly share with you as well. So now let's say I've got a bass sound, and this is one thing that just blew me away. Like if I go to one shot and I go into bass and I find something that I like, I mean, this is all kind of like basic sort of waveforms. Maybe that's kind of retro. Maybe I like that, right? It's got like, even it's got hiss, can you hear it? It's not perfect. Let's use that sample. But you can see it, right? And then we can create it. It's so cool. Look at this extra crazy variations of that bass. The original was this, and then these ones are. That's so interesting, man. Like, look. Ooh, that's good. I like that a lot. Remember, the top ones are supposed to be the closest to the original sample. But man, like if you really wanted to take it up and touch, look at the sounds. That even wasn't originally. That's so cool as well. It's like a stab sound. So many goodies in there, man. I'm gonna go with that because that sounds like, I know, it sounds good. I like it. Let's just roll with that. Let's just do S3. I'm gonna do like a typical pattern like this. The hi-hat, I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I just kind of tighten it up even more. I think it needs to be tighter, right? Let's just go into the decay and just really shorten it. Yeah, I prefer that. It's a little bit cleaner. Maybe less pitch, I think, or maybe like higher pitch. I don't know. You can obviously change it, right? That's better. So we got that sound here, right? Right, and we can add more release. We can of course explore this. That's so cool. I mean, and you can randomize it. This is just one note that is playing. Right, I'm playing F. I'm just gonna do like one bass. But that's, whoa, I really love that. That's really cool. And I'm gonna get it to the point where it just goes a little bit too crazy. Maybe like I want to keep the pitch a little bit more consistent, so I'm going to go to the tonality and just bring it to the left, so it doesn't lose the pitch. So cool. And then I'm going to literally just go to the bass notes and automate that wheel, right? So if I go over to Ableton, you can see we got the mod wheel scaling here. So if I go all the way down, it's going to be playing the original bass note, but if I move this up, it's going to play different permutations of the bass. And tell me what synth can do this, because I don't think I can't think of any of the synth. There you go. I like that. Let's hear that. Maybe lower? I don't know. It's quite low, right? Ooh, that's a... Also remember that because the randomization is different per note in this mode, right? It's another thing that's really cool. Each note has got a kind of like a different seed. So each note is different. Like you can hear that, look, that this one does this, but this one does that. This one does this other bass. That's that. I mean, what? That's so cool. I love that. So if you were to change the bass notes as well, not only you changing the pitch, but you also changing it. Let's open up the wheel on this note so you can really hear the abstract kind of sound. There you go. That is kind of crazy, right? Like there's nothing else I can think of that can even get close to this, if that makes sense. This is why I feel so excited about the synthesizer. I've been teaching music production for like, well over a decade now, close to 2 decades, and I've been making electronic music but basically my first releases were in 2009, but I've been making music way before that. And to me, this is like, honestly, like one of those synthesizers that I think a lot of people are like sleeping on, and they, it is actually insanely powerful, and I really wanted to emphasize that aspect of it. So yeah, anyway, guys, let us know what you thought of the video. There's more, of course, there's so much more that we can explore, but you can start to see that the creative possibilities here are just absolutely bonkers. And of course, if I had that wheel open all the way like this, then each note is just going to be like, if I just do like a sequence where each note is different, then we're going to get some really cool abstract bass movement. Look. And if I don't like that sound that goes whoop, I could potentially go here. That's the one, and I can randomize it. There you go, look. Make it mono so they don't overlap. And if I don't want the notes to pan, I can go over to the genome editor and I can be like, no panning please. So let's go and adjust that panning to nothing. Let's put another note there. There you go. Let's move that here maybe. Maybe I don't like that, it's tung tung, but I can. There you go. Absolutely bonkers. Anyway, and remember that if I just like one of the sounds over everything, like say for example, so I like, maybe I like that, and I want all the bass sounds to be that sound, I can literally go, all the bass notes, I can go here and say clone, and all the sounds are now that sample. If I don't like that, undo, and find another one, and then I say, okay, I like that one, let's try that one. I mean, that's kind of silly, but you get the idea, right? Like, I like that. But I do like that as well. I mean, Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. Insane creative possibilities within Synthplant. And yeah, let me know what you thought of the video. If you like to drop a comment, if you got any questions, of course, let me know. And yeah, if you fancy as well, I teach one-to-ones in music production with Ableton Live. If you fancy getting my my advice in your music, or if you feel stuck and you just need a little bit of help, yeah, get in touch. There's all the links in my description, so you can look it up. But on to the next video, and see you guys very soon.